Hey. So every time I get up to give a talk, the first 2 words of my notes say, introduce myself. And then every time I have some mini identity crisis, I'm like, what do I say? I'm Zach. I'm at Lindenwood University. I'm married to Lauren, one of the women. Got to hear her speak on a woman's heart last night. That's about all I know about myself right now. So hopefully I'll figure out a little more by the time I can talk to you guys next. This summer I'm going to be leading up the leadership development aspect of the project. And throughout this summer, I hope to see 2 things happen in every one of you. I hope to see you all grow in the practical skills that make up a leader. And I hope to help you understand the importance of a leader's heart and how it affects the way that they lead. And so the reason being that a leader with all the skills but little character has no place to lead others. And so this summer, we're going to have 2 components to leadership development. We're going to have the leadership skills part, where we will help you develop in the practical side of leading. We're also going to have this new thing that we're bringing up called the hot topics, where we're going to engage your heart a little more, with the hope to show you the way your heart influences the way you think and the way you lead. And 2, to engage as a body of believers in some topics that are often a little more difficult to engage in. So today, I'm not going to take a lot of time helping you understand why we'll be covering the leadership skills part. Hopefully, if you understood one thing about coming to Project, you understood that it was called the Summer Leadership Project, and it was helping you grow as leaders. And so, we're going to be covering some skills. We're going to, at the end of today, we're actually going to be taking a little bit of a little skills test after my talk. And so we'll get to that. But for now, I really just want to focus on this new idea we're bringing up of hot topics. We'll have some time explaining why we are doing hot topics and what that's going to mean. And so, as I said earlier, hot topics is a way for us to engage the heart as we talk about leadership topics. But it's a lot more than that. When it comes to hot topics, there are very few Christian leaders who are engaging in them. The secular world, so the non-Christian world, is running headfirst into topics like sexuality, race, politics, while the church and Christians sit back and passively watch as the world changes. So we, as ambassadors for Christ, as ambassadors of the one true King, should we not have a voice in the way these topics play out? If our God created the earth, has a design for the earth, should we not be the leaders who are guiding the way the world thinks and views these topics? And so if that's true, and Christians should be leading the way in these hot topics, then a very important question arises. How do we, as Christians, begin to think about these topics in a way that glorifies and exemplifies Christ? And this is the aim of this training component. We want to help you understand how to think about it, talk about it, and engage in these topics that have caught up the world. And we want to do that through a biblical perspective. And so, basically, what does the Bible say about these topics? Now, this won't always be clear, and our vision for this time isn't that we would give you guys an answer. It's not that you guys would leave saying, oh, this is what the Bible teaches on this topic. Our hope is that we would help you grow in your ability and willingness to engage in these topics that so influence our world. And so the reality is that most of us come in on either one of 2 sides of the spectrum when it comes to these topics. Either we come out guns blazing, telling everyone everything you believe, about everything that you believe and know on a subject, even at the expense of whoever else is in the conversation. So you're the type of person who, when you hear someone say something like Donald Trump, you step in like, oh, what are you guys talking about? Just getting ready to tell everybody everything that's going wrong with him. On the other side, maybe more like me, you don't often engage in them at all. You avoid these hot topics, the awkwardness of talking about a subject that often brings conflict and heated emotions. What I would say is that neither of these ways of going about these topics reflect Jesus. I think of the story when Jesus meets the woman at the well. Jesus goes up to this woman who's getting water and says, "Hey, would you draw me up some water?" And her response is, "Why are you asking me, a woman of Samaria, to bring you water? Don't you realize that Jews don't have any relationship with Samaritans, and let alone women?" And so his response was, "I'm going to engage this person who wouldn't normally be engaged by my culture. I'm going to engage this topic." And when he went into it, it wasn't here's everything that's wrong with the Samaritans, here's everything that is wrong with women. It was, let me hear more about you. Let me learn more about you. Let me tell you more about myself. And so why is this so important? The reason these topics are considered hot is because there is a valid reason for two people to feel passionately about them in two completely different directions. If you look back at this last election, or any election, every 4 years our country elects a new leader, a new president. And every 4 years, half our country is passionate about one leader, and the other half is passionate about the other. And often, the way that's portrayed is that the other half is just full of ignorant boneheads, right? Like, they don't know what you're talking about. Like, they don't understand half the facts. They don't understand anything. But it's just not true. Like, there's a reason why people are passionate about two different people. There's a reason why, when it comes to all these topics, they're hot. That why they're difficult to talk about, because there's a reason to be passionate about them in two different ways. And I would wager that if this is the way that you feel when it comes to hot topics, as if the other side is ignorant, as if the other side doesn't understand what the topic's actually about, doesn't understand, then there's probably a good chance that you have yet to take time to consider why the other side also feels passionately. And so the reason is that we're a very self-focused people. And so when Thursday morning comes around, if we want to grow as leaders, we're going to need to be willing to step away from our self-focus. We're going to need to be willing to engage in some content that might make us feel a little uncomfortable. And so when it comes to the hot topics, here's what I'm asking. I'm asking 4 things. One is to be willing to engage in the content. There's a reason that our staff team has chosen these topics. And as leaders, we need to be able to engage content that has caught up so many others in this world. Some of them you might not feel like they're hot topics. Some of them you might not feel like you want to engage in them. And that's okay. They're not easy topics, but we're just asking that you would come being willing to engage in this content. 2, be mindful of others. There's a very good chance that someone in your room feels very passionate about some of these topics because they have felt pain due to them, or just because they have personal ties to them. And so just realize that as we're talking about these things, there's a good chance that someone that you're talking to might have been hurt because of these topics, might have had friends or family who've been hurt because of some of these topics, and the reason that they're so passionately talking about them with you is because they really care, because it's really important to them. And so be mindful that others have these passions and these views for a reason. 3, I want you to be passionate in an open way, right? So we really, really want to see the emotions you're feeling. We really want you guys to feel open, to be real with each other, with the understanding that there is just a lot going on in these topics. And so we can't just allow our passion to go unchecked in these topics. And so we want to see it, but we also want to see you guys be open to hearing from each other. We want to hear these differing opinions being talked about in an open way. And 4, we want to keep the discussion going. We only have so much time on Thursday mornings, and these are really big topics. And so we don't want you to feel like you can only talk about them on Thursday mornings when we talk about them, but hopefully they'll bring up conversations that you guys can talk about throughout the week. Hopefully this is going to be something that at night when you go into bed, you guys talking about what's going on in the political world, or why certain people feel differently about sexuality or gender or women's rights. And so the last thing I'll say on these topics is that because they are hot topics, and because there are emotions and histories involved, it's going to get heated. We did as servant leaders, we did a mini one. As I said, I call it a mild topic. And we talked for like 30 minutes about was social media good or bad. So, but it's really important to remember that your identity as Christians is not rooted in any one of these topics. Your identity is rooted in Christ. And at the end of the day, you're going to need to remember that, because the people in this room, as people in this room, you are brothers and sisters. And so when Boston gets mad at me because I don't agree with him on something, he's also going to extend me grace as I try to understand it, as I try to understand what he's going through and what he's feeling. And so there will be a lot of moments this summer where you will get to practice giving grace to each other. And so that's our vision for Hot Topics. So every week, someone's going to come up, one of our staff, or we're going to have some people from the summit and Park coming in, and even from a different CO, they're going to come in and talk to you and give you some biblical perspective on the topic. Like I said, we're not hoping to give you an answer. We're hoping to help you see how the Bible talks about it. And then we're going to give you some time to process it, whether that's through journaling or just some personal time, whether that's through discussing it with your rooms, with your teams, or people around you, or prayer. But for now, I want to switch back to leadership skills. And so before I go any further, with all of this, we're going to be having, as I was saying, basically 2 trainings on Thursday mornings. So we're going to have leadership skills and the hot topics. And so if I'm ever up there speaking for longer than 20 minutes, you guys have the freedom to say, hey, you're kind of late here, Zach. But we're going to also be doing a lot of, I don't know what the word I'm thinking of is, activities. Activities is a good word. What did you say? Workshops. Yes, thank you. Workshops. That's why they don't give me a mic. We're going to be doing a lot of workshops. There's going to be a lot of things that we are covering that need to practice their skills. And so in order to get you guys understanding why we do these skills, because every year we come to this time, we start talking about leadership skills, and there's just a lot of misunderstanding on why we need to do that. And so I've actually I've created a little quiz for you guys, not with the hope that it would leave you guys feeling either helpless or hopeful, but just that as you guys are going through this, you would see the need for these skills. I've got 9 different topics, the 9 topics that we're going to be covering this summer. Just a few questions to help you guys get a feel for where you're at with them. Have you guys get a feel for why we're covering them. Then each week you guys will be able to look back and say, and it's cool to see how much I actually learned from this topic. And so we're going to take about 10 to 15 minutes to answer these questions, and then I'll come back up and kind of close this out. All right? So hopefully you guys have time.